been here probably almost an hour, and I just had a real faint signal down about 9 inches. It's a Mercury dime. This is a very old park, so I was sort of hoping this would be a seeded or earlier. All right, on to the next. Diggers, I'm here with Tony, and I'm so excited. And I just had a real weak signal about 10 inches down, and there was a lot of nails, and here's one of them, popped right up, and I dug down and I was getting the sweet sound. A seeded $50. I can't believe it. A seeded $50. 10 inches deep. I kind of nicked it a little on the rim because I didn't it was ringing up just like a penny. I didn't expect it to be such a big target. All right, we'll get it cleaned up and get back with you. Diggers, this is turning out to be a pretty good day. I'm here at the park, and I'm down here in the creek part, and just had a surface hit, and I moved the leaves, and right here on top of the rocks is a silver quarter, 1952, and it was right here on these rocks, and I thought it was going to be a clad quarter because, you know, how often do you find a silver laying on top, but the rocks wouldn't let it sink. So silver number 3 for the day. Excellent. On to the next. This was a 1238 at 8 inches deep. $18.65 2-cent piece. This is only the third one I've ever found, and certainly the best looking one I found. All right, on to the next. Diggers, I've been here 7 hours, and I finally just got my second good coin signal. This was about a 1244, about 9 inches deep, and I see some silver in the hole, and it looks like it's going to be a Mercury dime. That makes silver number 102 for the year. Diggers, right there, you see my plug a little bit, that's where I dug that Merc, and I just had it wasn't even a coin signal, it was like a popping sound, just a pop pop, but I didn't hear an iron with it, so it was 11 inches deep, and I went ahead and dug it, and there she is. It's another Mercury, but it looks like it's in really good condition. I'm not going to rub this one, it might be a key date or something. Looks like it's in real nice condition. Alright, I'll get that cleaned up and get back to you. On to the next. Hey, check this out. There's a wasp nest up in this tree, and you know, the tree is pretty bare because autumn is here, and yet there is a flower blooming out of the top of that wasp nest, and yet there's hardly any leaves on the tree. I would have thought those flowers would have come in the spring. Must have something to do with it was, I don't know, kept inside the nest for so long and it finally just now bloomed. Anyway, that's kind of interesting. Alright. Diggers, Tony and I just went and got a little something to eat and came back. So I came over here and my first signal is another 2-cent piece. Well, I've finally got me an Indian head. I can't read the date. I'm sure you can, and I'll find out when I get my glasses on. But this rang up as trash. It didn't ring up like an Indian head. I went ahead and dug it. It was about 8 inches deep. So I'm finally on the board with an Indian. On to the next. It's been about 10 minutes since that last Indian, and I just had another real iffy signal down about 9 inches deep. And it's another Indian. Alright, it's Thursday and we've got permission to hunt at this house, and I'm out here on the curb strip and I've got me an Indian. I've already got one weedy. Probably a newer one. Alright, on to the next. Oh, that's a good signal. Silver ring. All the stones are missing, but nonetheless, that's another silver ring for the collection. On to the next. Still working along this sidewalk strip and got my first silver. It's a rosy. Good, good. First silver coin of the day. On to the next. Tony and I are at another park here in a small town, and looks like there might have been some houses here. It doesn't look like much of a park, to be honest, but I just had a pretty deep signal, and it is one of those old Canadian scents. Kind of neat. Back's all crusted up, but I'll get that cleaned up, and we'll get the date on it. And looks like George the 6th. So anyway, on to the next. Tony and I are here in another town and got this little park which is pretty hammered out. We couldn't find any coins in there, but we're doing the sidewalk strip, and I know he's got a weedy, and I just had a signal 8 inches deep, and it's also a weedy, but looks like a nice one. Alright, on to the next. Good news, diggers. I'm here with Tony at this park, and I have got another 2-cent piece. That's my third one this week. This rang up just like a memorial penny, but it was 8 inches deep, and I only dug it because I thought, well, maybe it's not a memorial penny. And you might think a memorial penny 8 inches, but here we've found several that deep, so definitely a good find. Have to get it cleaned up and get you the year, but it's another 2-center. On to the next. Diggers, I've probably been swinging 2 minutes since I found that 2-cent piece, and I had a 12.43, which is kind of a wheat penny or modern penny, 8 inches deep, I dug my dirt, and it is a Barber dime. Looks like maybe 1897. It's pretty thin. Good morning. It's Friday. Tony and I are at an old park in a small town, and been here about an hour or so, and just had my first really good signal. It's an Indian head. Can't hardly tell the date, but I know it's in the 1870s. Can't see the last digit very well. All right, that's a good find. On to the next. Just got me a silver here, still working this old park, and this is about 4 inches deep. Rang up real nice. All right, on to the next. Tony and I have moved on to another little park in another little town, and this park's been hunted pretty good, but just had a pretty obvious signal about 4 or 5 inches, and to my utter surprise, it's a silver quarter. Rang up as a 1247, about 4 or 5 inches, and it was so obvious I thought it was probably a tin can or something. What a nice surprise. Alright, on to the next.